So a little while ago, I wrote an article for Bow International magazine, and this was about 6 ways that you can improve your release. And I want to go through these 6 key ways in this video today and show you and demonstrate some of these things that I mentioned in the article. So let's roll the intro and then we'll get to the video. So before we get started, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments below which archer has the release that you enjoy watching the most. You know, sometimes you'll just go through videos and videos on YouTube and look through someone shooting and just love the way that someone releases in a particular way. Let me know in the comments below who that is for you. And then I want to get through to the first part of these 6 stages, and that is bow fitness. So this is a key area, obviously, and this is probably the most common cause of a bad release, and that's simply not having the strength to hold the bow properly and expand properly and then release properly. So having the strength simply obviously comes from training, but also doing something as simple as bow training, even with a device like this, like a handmade, this is like a homemade shot trainer replica effectively, and this simply attached to a band, just doing something like shot trainer draw ups, I call these, just simply drawing like this is a great way to develop strength in the right areas. And then you can also do holds like this, holding with the shot trainer. You can also do holds with your fingers just around the band. So you can do draws like this, and then you can also do holds. So you can come in and do holds as well and simply just hold, and then while you're holding, expand round. And then over time, you can then do this with your bow as well. So doing with your bow, shot trainer draw ups, shot trainer holds, and increasing this over time to get that capacity to be able to hold your bow at full draw for longer is really, really important. So that's the number 1 thing that you can do to improve your release. And that is why I've put it at the start, because it's the most important and it's probably the most overlooked. You can get so much benefit from bow training that it's possibly sometimes more important than shooting for some people. So it's really, really important. Definitely do it. And if you haven't tried it before, definitely start with a light band or some sort of very light bow as well. So that's the first point. Now, the second thing that really commonly doesn't allow people to get a good release is they don't create the string connection on the draw side at the set position. And then they don't keep this through the shot. Some people might create it and lose it, whereas most people actually don't create it at all. So what I mean by this is generally you can see this by looking at the line through the fingers, the wrist and the arm and the elbow. So what I mean is if this connection is good, there'll be a straight line through the points like this. If the connection is bad, there'll generally be a kink and the hand will be close to the body like this, and you'll see there's a kink here, and then the line is not connected through. And what this feels like is it then makes it very hard for you to connect the hook right round through to your back, and then eventually for you to use the correct muscles of your back and use the scapula in the right way when you shoot. So this is why it's really important. And you can see this in this diagram here. You can see how the fingers through to the wrist and then through to the elbow, there's a nice straight line, and this is going to make it much easier to open the bow properly and draw the bow properly. One key thing that's important for this is finger and grip strength, which is often overlooked. So again, doing simple finger exercises such as the ones with the simple finger grip, where you can get a spring-loaded device. Simple, you've probably seen these everywhere, and you simply just work on your grip strength by squeezing the device. You can also do it right on the fingertips to improve the finger strength as well. Simple devices like that are really good for improving finger strength and helping your connection and then your release as well. Now, back tension is actually essential to shoot, in that you do want to use and engage the correct muscles of the lower traps and the lats in the correct place on the back, but you do not want the tension in the upper traps that plagues so many archers. So yes, back tension is there, but by thinking about trying to deliberately create back tension often destroys the very thing you're trying to use. So when you're actually thinking about back tension, this is a much more advanced skill for much more advanced archers who have made sure that they understand the overall movement first and understand the direction they need to be moving in and how they keep the shoulder in the correct position and move the blade correctly. Then you can start thinking about the tiny specific squeeze of the back tension and the lower parts of the scapula. But this is a more advanced skill in the same way as in the gym. A new person in the gym does not think when they do, for instance, a bicep curl, okay, I'm going to contract my bicep and squeeze my bicep. They think I'm going to move the dumbbell from here to here. You think about movement rather than tension. If you're a bodybuilder who's been doing it for very long and you've developed the skill, you've developed the movement on specific exercises, then you might start thinking more about specific sensations or really squeezing a certain muscle or really engaging a certain muscle because you've got the correct movement and you can pinpoint that more accurately. But to start with that, if you start with a gym novice and tell them to do specific things on a certain exercise and squeeze a specific muscle, it's not going to work. They won't know at all what they're trying to do, and it's much better to focus on understanding the movement and where you want to go. So that is number 3, and that is forgetting back tension. Now, number 4 is actually teaching the body how to release. So this is using a very simple exercise, which you basically put your fingers together like this, using the first digit of each finger, and you simply come to your anchor position and teach yourself how to release by you increase the tension on your fingers by pulling apart, and then you simply just let the fingers slide off each other and release. And you can just simply practice this to start with. If you're not comfortable doing it near your face, you can start just in front of you like this and just practice release like that, and then you can move it to the anchor position and practice the movement of release. So that is number 4. Now, number 5 is to improve your alignment. I've done a whole separate video on alignment and I'll link that there for you. But basically, by getting your correct alignment of your shoulders, you make it much more likely that you can align the forces during your expansion so that the forces don't have a large outward movement and cause you to move your bow one way or release outwards in a sloppy way. So by aligning your shoulders, getting that alignment, you'll get into a nice line and the forces will all be in a nice line, and when you release, you can just release like that. So from the other way, it would just look like this. If you're out of alignment like this and you try and release as you're expanding round, it's probably going to cause something like that, and maybe outward motion of the draw hand as well. So by getting in alignment, it means that when you release the shot, and effectively when you're here, you can think of it as a string being cut. So you're here, there's tension and expansion, and when the string is cut, you release that way. If you imagine you're out of position, pulling a string here, and the string is cut, you're going to collapse the other way. So this is number 5, and that is improving alignment. Number 6 is get to real full draw. Again, I've made a whole video on this, so I'll link that above. And this is really key to, again, get into full alignment. The difference here with alignment and real full draw is there's just a tiny extra step that you have to do. Once you reach your anchor position, you have to make a deliberate movement on each shot in order to get into your very final alignment. So your general alignment is mostly there, but to get to real full draw, you have to do a deliberate movement every single time, and it's a feeling of readiness and ability to shoot the shot how you want, and that is what we know as real full draw. So this is a key area, and the more you can get that feeling, the more likely it is that you're going to get a really clean release. Those super nice shots that you shoot and you think, yeah, that's going to go in the middle. Those shots are when you get this much more close and much more consistent. So that is getting to real full draw. Now, with these points, I will leave the link to the article on Bow International's website below, so you can also read through the full article, but I wanted to give you a visual demonstration of some of these key points and give you something to work on there. So that's been an overview of 6 ways to improve your release. I hope you found that useful. As always, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as well. I'll also put the links to social media down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.